In the folder marked Final, do not touch. The first time I suspected Lena, it was because a file moved itself. That was the lie I told my brother on the phone. A file moved itself, because it sounded less pathetic than I refreshed our shared cloud folder until it gaslit me. I'm a post-producer. I live in timelines. My days are nested sequences and color labels, audio stems I can mute when they misbehave. I believe in versioning because it lets you unhurt something for a while. Our folder, our life/video/personal, was supposed to be the soft corner where grocery lists coexisted with little clips we filmed when we were good. Saturday pancakes, the dog refusing dignity, Lena reading in bed while the rain kept score on the window. The new file didn't belong there. It was an export, 0217 nightcap final mauve. The word final is religion in my line of work and blasphemy in relationships. I told myself it was for her client. Lena is a photographer with a talent for making people look like the stories they tell about themselves. She's also beautiful the way a lens is. She notices light even when it hurts. She came home that night with the smell of a bar on her sweater and that precision in her eyes she gets when she's already edited the evening down to good moments. "How was the shoot?" I asked, measuring my voice like a Foley artist pouring water to sound like bourbon. "Pure chaos," she said, kissing my cheek. Her mouth was warm, present. "They hired a comedian and then told him not to be funny. That's a felony." I wanted to show her the file and ask for the director's cut. I didn't. Instead, I made pasta and put on music, and she danced in that goofy way she does when she wants me to remember she knows how to be a person, and not just a mythical creature someone once loved. Later, we undressed like it was a rehearsal for forgiveness, not a performance. We kept it decent enough for your favorite platform, but there are honest ways to touch someone you're afraid of losing, and we tried most of them. Her breath on my throat was a reminder and a threat. When she slept, I padded to the office and opened the file. I expected faces I didn't recognize and lighting that pretended it wasn't intentional. Instead, the video was a neutral shot of a hotel hallway, the kind with carpet chosen by committees. A door at the end. The sound of a key card. The camera didn't move. It recorded a door opening and closing and then nothing for 23 minutes. No figures, no cutaways, just a door that had decided to behave like a pulse. I watched the timestamp, 0217. Then I did the sin math, who she said she was with, where the train runs at that hour, what my phone said about location sharing not available. When I closed the file, the system asked if I wanted to save changes. It always asks. I clicked don't save like a coward with manners. I called my best friend, Armin, because he's an editor who has seen me lie to myself in better fonts. He answered on the second ring in that soft, middle-of-a-render voice. "Talk to me like I'm a timeline," he said. "Make it simple, I'll make it beautiful." I told him about Final, Mauve and the door that behaved like a symptom. He was quiet for a beat that lasted too long. "Do you want me to be the friend who says there's an explanation?" he asked. "Or the friend who asks why the camera was set on a tripod?" "Tripod," I said. "If it didn't move and you didn't see handheld Bob," he said. "Somebody staged a shot to prove something or to practice not lying. Either way, it's theater. Either way, she wanted you to see it." I wanted to say he was wrong. I wanted to say the cloud glitched. Instead, I said, "I'm taking her to the lake house this weekend." "Good," he said. "Water is good for answers. It makes people hear themselves." The lake house is ours only in the way airbims are ours if we clean up and leave a thank you on the counter. It's 2 hours away, all glass and wood, with a deck that's a dare to morning. Lena loves the bath there, a white animal of a tub you could baptize a secret in. I booked it as if the calendar could be a spell. On Friday, Lena packed the dog's absurd coat, which made me want to forgive everything, and an evening dress that made me think of trouble. "Do you have your swimsuit?" she asked, chin tucked like a child trying for innocence. "It's winter," I said. "Jacuzzi," she said, which is French for water that forgives your sins. We drove in the early blue. The dog pressed her nose to the window like she wanted to learn the whole vocabulary of outside. We didn't talk about work. We didn't talk about the city. We didn't talk about 02:17 because I had decided to be generous to the first hour of the weekend. The house was a hush in planks. The lake wore ice like a costume that didn't fit. I started a fire because that's the kind of man I want to be. Someone who knows how to make heat politely. Lena disappeared to run a bath and came back in steam, a towel high on her chest, hair pinned with the pencil that lives behind her ear when she's processing a shoot. "Do you want to drink wine in the bath and feel like a song?" she asked. "Yes," I said, and brought the bottle and my better self. There is a way to kiss someone in a bathtub that is not porn and not prudish. It's communion. We found it. My hands learned again the topography of her ribs, the hollow where her clavicle remembers sunlight. She sank into me with a sound that belongs to nights with names. We climbed out warm and sloppy, and when she reached for me on the bed, it was not apology, it was possession. I let her own me for a while. I wanted to be owned. It would have been perfect if I weren't me. After, with the dog a goofy weight at our feet and the fire deciding to forgive the wood, I asked, "Who opened the door at 2:17? She didn't pretend not to understand. She went very still in the way she does when a lens is on her. "I thought you'd watch it," she said. "I did," I said. "That's why we're here and not performing this at home with neighbors and garbage trucks." She pulled the duvet up like a prop. "I made that file because I wanted to own the first cut," she said. "If there was going to be a story, I wanted to tell it to you without my face begging." "Tell it," I said. "I went to a hotel," she said. "I booked it under Kyla's last name because I'm not as smart as I want to be. I went because I wanted to end something that should have ended at the first wrong laugh." I listened to the verbs. Went, booked, wanted, end. "Who?" I asked, because men like nouns. "Armin," she said. My mouth tried to open, and then decided it didn't have jurisdiction. The room did the trick of becoming bigger and smaller in the same second. The dog sighed and put her head on Lena's ankle like comfort could be redistributed. "Armin," I repeated, as if the syllables were different in her mouth. "My Armin." "He's not yours," she said gently, which is the kind of gentleness that makes you want to be cruel. "He's himself. He's also the only person who listened to me talk about you without making me feel like I was auditioning for gratitude." "He knew about the file," I said, "because Betrayal wants to be clever. He told me to take you to water." "He didn't know about the file," she said. "He told me not to be a coward. We haven't," she stopped, the way people stop when they're weighing which lie will age best. "We met twice to be stupid and once more to try not to be. I booked the room to tell him no with a door that could close on it." "What did you tell him then?" I asked. "Not to be a coward or not to be my friend?" She curled one hand into the sheet, a neat little fist that used to be an invitation. "I told him I loved you," she said, "and I didn't want to rent a version of intimacy somewhere else because the mortgage was scary." I laughed. It wasn't a sound I'm proud of. "You took him to a bed to tell him no," I said. "That's like bringing a corkscrew to rehab." "I made the video so I could show you it wasn't what you think it was," she said. "So I could point to the empty hallway and say, look, the door was the only thing that behaved badly." "What about the other 2 times?" I asked. "Did the doors behave then too?" She closed her eyes. Once was a kiss that told the truth badly. Once was a kiss that lied well. I went home after both and lay next to you and thought, pick a version of me you respect and be her. Then I was. And then I tried. We were quiet. The fire decided something and collapsed into a softer shape. I thought about calling Armin and asking him whether he wanted my friendship packaged with insult or regret. I thought about the years we'd made our work better by testing it against each other's worst instincts. He knows what I mute, what I boost, where I hide the seams. He is the person I send a cut to when I think it's done and want to be told to try again. He is not a saint. He is the man who told me to go to water. Why didn't you tell me first? I asked. We're better when we narrate. That's our whole thing. We do the director's commentary while the movie is still being shot. Because I wanted you to still kiss me while you didn't know, she said. I wanted to be held by the man who didn't have to decide yet if he would keep me after the credits. There's a way to touch someone when you're trying not to lose them. It's messy. It's also an art. I put my hand on her shoulder and felt the heat of the bath still there. She turned into me and pressed her mouth to my jaw like signing a receipt. We breathed together until the room forgave us for being people. In the morning, the lake was a sheet of undependable light. We walked the dog along the shore, boots making that crunchy confession sound on the crusted snow. I tried the Armin speech a dozen ways in my head. In none of them did I come away uncomplicated. When we got back, Lena made coffee the way she does when she's pretending not to be careful. I opened my laptop and dragged Final, Mauve to the desktop. I rewound to the moment the door opens. There's a sliver of a shoulder in the frame. Not Armin's, he's wider, a human bracket. This was slender, a winter coat with a fur hood, the kind a person wears when they want to be mistaken for anyone. The jazz in the hallway sounded like it might have been added in post. I scrubbed to the end. When the door opens again, Lena's hand crosses the edge of the frame holding something white. A napkin. She drops it in the trash. She thinks she's off camera. The napkin unfurls a second and I see a hotel key card and I think, admission. I wanted to show you before I deleted it, she said from behind me. I wanted you to know the shape of what I ended. You don't get to end a thing by setting up a camera that records you not doing it, I said. You get to end it by telling me you started. I expected her to fight. She didn't. She came to me and knelt, not as a supplicant but as a person choosing a lower angle to make her honesty larger. I'm sorry, she said. I know sorry is the most overused word in a relationship. I also know you hate placeholders. I hate bad typography more, I said, because jokes keep blood in the body. You could have chosen a different friend to betray me with, someone I don't know how to like. I chose the one who loves you, she said. I thought it made it less ugly. It didn't. It made it something else I don't know how to name yet. We stayed at the lake house because leaving early would have made the story a chase. We cooked too much food, as if feeding the weekend would quiet it. We went in the jacuzzi because heat is persuasive. In the steam, she straddled me and put her forehead against mine and said my name like a question I'd already answered. We stayed on the good side of decency because dignity is a habit you practice or forget. It was real, though. That matters. On Sunday, I texted Armin one line. Send me the cut of you that doesn't make me hate my favorite scenes. He replied, I love you. I'll go away. I didn't answer because sometimes mercy is a delay, not a verdict. Back in the city, I moved Final, Mauve to a folder called Archive and turned off the favorite star. I didn't delete it because I'm not a man who erases timelines to feel clean. In Our Life/Video/Personal, I made a new folder, 8 Mending. I dragged nothing into it. Empty is honest. That night, Lena and I sat on the floor with the dog draped across us like a throw you can't buy. We watched a dumb show that makes people into versions of themselves and sells that back to them. When the credits rolled, she said, "Do you want me to stop seeing him entirely?" Her voice was nowhere and everywhere. "I want to stop living like we're doing test screenings," I said. "If you see him, it will be to return parts of me you borrowed. It will be in a room with daylight and no napkins." She nodded, "Okay." "We're going to schedule breakfast tomorrow with rules," I said. "We tell one ugly thing each before coffee. Then we eat. Then we tell one thing we want that doesn't involve punishment." "You and your act," she said, but she smiled, a small true thing. At 02:17 that night, I woke without an alarm. The apartment was a good hum. I padded to the kitchen and poured water, listened to the radiator ask the moon for patience. Lena came up behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist. "What's the rule for not deleting history?" she murmured, half asleep. "Keep the raw files," I said. "Make a new timeline. Don't render until you've watched it twice." "Okay," she said, and tucked her scar into my palm like a signature. I held it. I thought of the door on the screen and the door of our bedroom and the doors we keep making with our mouths when we say the right wrong things. I thought of Armin and his versions. I thought of the lake and how stubbornly water remembers its shape. In the morning, I made eggs like they were a thesis. She brought coffee that was an apology and a promise. We put our phones face down. We did the ugly before the breakfast and the one after. It wasn't neat. It was better. Later, when she went to brush her teeth, I opened the cloud, right-clicked Final Mauve and renamed it 217 Door Test. I added a note, "Do not grade yet." Then I closed the laptop and went to stand in the doorway to watch her in the mirror. The woman who is a lens and a person. The woman I am choosing to capture again, without assuming I already know the ending.